A sect called Lingxiao Pavilion rose to a higher level under the leadership of the well-known gifted spirit pet master named Fan Lingxiao. They belonged to be class sect, and Fan was scheduled to fight for promotion for a class sect. His mission was to make Lingxiao Pavilion the strongest sect. The leaders of other well-known sects could not believe the rapid rise of Lingxiao Pavilion. But Master Bai was not surprised because he knew that Fan was extraordinary. When Fan entered the arena, he immediately released his spiritual pet named Nian. His opponent, and a sect leader, called Master Hong, also summoned his spiritual pet. When their fight began, they immediately showed off their fierce attacks. It was so intense that made all the spectators very excited. They continued to exchange powerful attacks, and neither of them had any intention of giving up. In a few moments, Master Hong used one of his most powerful techniques. But Fan was not worried about this because he also prepared a secret technique to counter it. Nian absorbed all of Master Hong's attacks, then they both rushed for their final attack. But they were all surprised when Nian suddenly became a rotting corpse. Fan failed to control his spiritual pet, causing it to swallow him. But this was not the end of him because he lived again after a year, in the body of another person who had accidentally died. This happened because of the forbidden ancient role that his ancestors had bequeathed to him. When he opened his eyes, he was surprised that he was still alive, and wearing different clothes. He immediately tried to summon Yin, but it was gone. He came to the river to drink, and was shocked because his face was different. Suddenly, the members of the Bai sect came to arrest him. They locked him in the Bai mansion, then he remembered the events of his fight with Master Hong. He wondered who wanted him dead, and who could be the owner of his new body. He tried to summon a spiritual pet, and he brought out Teddy Dog and Vine Sprite. However, their skills seemed not enough to help him. Suddenly, a guard came because Miss Liansu wanted to see him. When he met Miss Liansu, she called him Fingmeng. Since he had no idea what his current body did, he just pretended to as Fingmeng. He did not want her to notice that he was removing the rope from his hand. She told him that she wanted to lock him up in the mansion for life and punish him until his death. He slowly came out, but Liansu suddenly attacked him with his spiritual pets. Because of this, he also summoned his spiritual pets, but Liansu just laughed at them. Liansu thought that she could just easily defeat them, but she was surprised by the opponent's performance. When Fingmeng saw the opportunity, he ordered the Vine Sprite to attack. Liansu could not believe that Fingmeng could control two spiritual pets at the same time. When the Vine Sprite bound Liansu's spiritual pet, Teddy used his ultimate skill. Liansu got really angry after that, so she got serious in the fight. Fingmeng's spiritual pets were immediately defeated, and after he sent them back, Liansu targeted him. Then he saw a catfish in a pond, and it immediately became his spiritual pet. Liansu attacked him again, but he just blocked it, and then he ordered the catfish that he also named Nian to attack. Nian swallowed Liansu's spiritual pet and did it successfully. Liansu could not believe what she saw, and while she was still stunned, Fingmeng took advantage of this opportunity to escape. The guards even tried to chase him, but they failed to catch him. The next morning, Liansu was very angry that Fingmeng was not captured by her men. Suddenly, his older brother Tangshu arrived, so she immediately reported to him. But what angered Tangshu was to know that Fingmeng had taken his catfish. Despite that, he was not worried that Fingmeng would become stronger because the catfish was known to be useless. But he knew that it would be a different story if Fan was the one who controlled it, since he was the only one who knew how to make a catfish stronger. Meanwhile, Fingmeng planned to go back to the Lingxiao Pavilion and find out who wanted to kill him. He stopped by the Heio Young Lion to get a speed-type pet which he would use on his journey. Then he learned about what happened to the sect in just 1 year. It turned out that the League had removed their sect from the list, and it was now just an ordinary organization. When he came across a spiritual pet service, he asked for them to take care of his pets. While he was waiting for them to be treated, he bought a defense skill bubble. Fortunately, there was one left, but someone named Shui came and said he would pay triple for the defense bubble. Fingmeng had no intention to just give it to him, so Shui brought out a spiritual pet. But this guy suddenly calmed down because he saw that it was Fingmeng. Since Shui treated him like a close friend, he took advantage of this opportunity to get a free meal. Then Shui wondered why he did not drink liquor. Fo was worried that he might get drunk like before, but Fengmang's body was a heavy drinker and was not even affected by alcohol. After he took the defense skill bubble, he also asked to release Shui's captive, who was a demi-human. She fell for his kindness, so she decided to follow him. In the afternoon, members of the Mega Rock Gang suddenly attacked the Lingxiao Pavilion. They managed to eliminate the spiritual pets of other members of the Lingxiao Pavilion. But when Duan fought against them, the enemies could not match the speed and strength of his spiritual pet called Jaime. But the enemies had figured out a way to beat his pet. Fengmang had just arrived and witnessed what happened to Jaime. The Mega Rock Gang wanted the members of the Lingxiao Pavilion to leave so they could occupy the territory. Before the enemies could touch Ling, Fengmang had Teddy attack them. Ling was stunned for a moment because it seemed like she could see Fan in Fengmang. Teddy fought the dragon lizard and easily defeated it. In anger, the Mega Rock Gang summoned their remaining spiritual pets. Fengmang ran away for the enemies to chase him because he planned to have them devoured by Nian. The enemies were afraid of it, so they were forced to leave. When Ling got out, Fengmang immediately hugged her, causing her to be surprised. Fengmang suddenly remembered that he could not tell her that he was Fan, because one of his close friends might be the one behind what happened to his old spiritual pet. He just told Ling that he had a friend who looked like her. Then they immediately approached Duan, who was mourning. Duan decided to leave the sect and that they had to accept that Lingxiao Pavilion would never recover because their master was gone. Even though Fengmang and Ling tried to stop him, he still left them. The other members, especially those who lost their spiritual pets, also decided to leave. Fengmang was just sad that he was not even given time to restore Lingxiao Pavilion to its former state. After most of the members left, only Ling, Cheng, and Yui were left. Because of this, they decided and chose Ling as the new master of the sect. For their first task, they needed to look for their spiritual pets. Fengmang thought of a place where they could find them. However, when they arrived, it seemed that more people were fighting over spiritual pets. Fengmang thought of another place, and this was in the cave where a lord resided. After a while, they saw a fire-tailed fox, so Fengmang alerted his companions because someone owned it. It was Mu Chuan who wanted them to leave because he did not want any rivals. But Fengmang thought of a way to make Mu Chuan afraid of them. They pretended that they have their spiritual pets, so Mu Chuan was forced to leave. Suddenly, they heard a noise, so they quickly moved to go there, and it turned out to be the spiritual pet they were looking for. It was the rhino horn panda, which was in the 7th phase of the mature stage. Mu Chuan tried to fight it, but it only tricked him. Fengmang knew how dangerous this creature was, so he asked his companions to hide. They thought they were poisoned, but the creature was just taking their color to create an illusion. Fengmang and Mu Chuan decided to work together to defeat it. However, they still could not do it because of its unique technique. They were always confused by the changing color of the rhino horn panda. But Teddy could see it easily because he had color blindness. To help his master, he put the panda to sleep. But Mu Chuan tricked them and quickly ran away carrying the spiritual pet. He brought it to the Yi sect to exchange it for his spiritual pet that they had imprisoned. The sect's job was to collect spiritual pets to sell them at the market. When he met the leader of the sect named Yo Yang, they returned the Ice-Tails fox to him. But before he could release it from the cage, they were suddenly surrounded by other members of the Yi sect. He tried to fight them off, but soon Yo Yang used his spiritual pet to capture him. The next morning while they were in the city, Ling saw Fengmang's wanted poster that Liansu had posted. They went to the bank to withdraw their funds, but it was already withdrawn. Because of this, Fengmang just said that he had savings which they could use. Since they failed to capture the spiritual pets, they decided to buy them. Ling and Cheng immediately chose their spiritual pets. While they were looking for a spiritual pet for Yui, they saw the rhino horn panda as well as Mu Chuan's fire-tail and ice-tail fox. They tried to take back the rhino horn panda, but the salesman, who was also from the East sect, recognized their uniforms, which considered as the loser sect. He had no idea that Ching was doing something to the rhino horn panda. Ching told the salesman that the panda was missing, but it just hid. Since Yui did not have a spiritual pet yet, she tried to tame it. She did it successfully, and they also released Muchuan's 2 spiritual pets. They noticed that they seemed to be asking for help to save their master. Then Ling remembered again what the Ease sect did to their sect. Fengmong decided to go home first because he had something to show Ling. It was supposedly a letter from Fan, and their master wanted them to dig something up. Besides the box, there was also another letter written by Fengmong. If she read that the letter was from Fan, this might give Ling the courage to continue. At nightfall, they began their attack on the Ease sect. They quickly defeated the guards, and they immediately found Muchuan's prison. After they released Muchuan, they split up so they could quickly finish their tasks. Fengmong assigned them to rescue the spiritual pets while he took care of the enemy's leader. He went to the main building and was surprised to find that it was a treasure house. After a while, he heard Yoyang's voice offering him to join the Ease sect. But he immediately rejected it because he was there to take revenge. He also confirmed that someone had betrayed him after Yoyang mentioned it to him. Suddenly, an spiritual pet attacked him, and fortunately, he was pulled by Vine Sprite. He took the ones on display to throw at the enemy, and here he saw that Yoyang did not want them to be broken. He took advantage of this to further break Yoyang's collections. But he did not expect that its spiritual pet would suddenly attack him. He forced himself to get out from the building, and saw the others. Ling's spiritual pet quickly healed him, but Yoyang arrived to face them. Muchuan fought against him, and Yui helped too. But Yoyang decided to use the crystal bones. His spiritual pet only got stronger, and Yui's spiritual pet could no longer defeat the enemy. Yoyang planned to eliminate the leader of Lingxiao Pavilion, but Fengmong did not let him. The enemy could not believe it when he saw a catfish, and even Ling was surprised. Yoyang even tried to keep up with Fengmong, but because of the help of the Vine Sprite, Nian successfully swallowed Yoyang's spiritual pet. However, the core that Yoyang was trying to protect had not been destroyed. They were unable to destroy it because Yoyang's spiritual pet was still attacking. But suddenly the demi-human helped by Fengmong arrived and successfully destroyed the core. Yoyang tried to attack her, but she was too strong in the fight. Fengmong thanked her for what she did, but because she was ashamed of him, she immediately left. Before they went home, they checked all the spiritual pets they had saved. After they gave Muchuan his reward, Fengmong noticed a spiritual pet. He liked it and decided to just take it. He suddenly felt something strange, and then he lost consciousness. When he woke up the next day, he thought about what happened the other night. He called Nian because he wanted to check the space after it was upgraded. He thought again about who could have betrayed him, then he remembered that Ling had seen Nian. He immediately talked to Ling, who was in the ancestral hall, to talk about Nian. Although she already suspected that he was Fan, Fengmong still continued on lying. Suddenly, she asked if he was the one on the poster, so he said that it was him to prevent her from suspecting him. A few days later, they traveled to participate in the D-class assessment competition. When they arrived at the registration venue, Ling was surprised to see that many plain sects had participated. According to the regional receptionist examiner Li, the other sects had obtained resources from the Lingxiao Pavilion and had grown strong quickly that they were qualified for the competition. But since the number of participants was limited, they had to cut the numbers needed. The sects that had benefited from the Lingxiao Pavilion's resources wanted their sect to be disqualified from the competition because they believed it was a weak sect. Fengmong asked Ling about the sects that had stolen their resources to teach them a lesson. The Hongfu people thought that they could easily defeat the Lingxiao Pavilion. But it turned out that the Vine Sprite was already prepared to get them. After being defeated, the leader asked for help, but the other sects had already been beaten by Fengmong's companions. Fengmong warned the other sects to return what they had taken from the Lingxiao Pavilion, and they immediately promised to do it. Since the participants was reduced by 4 sects, the remaining sects were automatically admitted in the competition. It was only then that they noticed that Muchuan was a member of Baimu study. Examiner Li had them ride on the catfons to take them to the island where the competition was to be held. When they arrived, the examiner, named Wenqing, was surprised that Ling Xiao Pavilion was also participating in the competition. It turned out that she was a fan of the famous Ling Xiao Pavilion and fan. After a while, the participants were made to wear the bracelet that they would use in the competition. This would connect to the consonants so that they would know the condition of each participant, and they had to wear it all the time. In addition, they would also be eliminated from the competition if they fell into the sea. After everything was okay, they returned to the ship where all the examiners, including their invited supervisor named Tangshu, would be watching them. Wenqing remembered the rumor that the Bai sect was involved in Fan's death, which Tangshu immediately denied. Tangshu knew that others thought the same because Ling Xiao Pavilion was a B sect like them in their prefecture. He was lucky that he had dueled with Fan before, and he could say that the gap in strength between them was really big. A few moments later, Tangshu formally announced the start of the D-class assessment competition. Only then did Fengmong found out that they were on top of a large turtle. For the first phase of the competition, participants had to collect beaming score spores, and if they got all 300, the second phase would begin immediately. Fengmong saw a spore, so Ling immediately put it on her bracelet. Then he explained the idea he had for them to get to the top spot. They had to split up and they would return to the same location when the first phase was over. The Tianyan sect came up with a good idea, but they were immediately stopped by Sheng of the Beacon Society, a branch of the Yi sect. Since they no longer had bracelets, this caused them to be immediately eliminated from the competition. When the Tianyan sect was eliminated, only 23 groups remained. While Fengmong was looking for spores, he came close to the members of the Hongwuan building, which was Shui's sect. Teddy recognized the female member named Ro and immediately approached her. This let her know that Fengmong was nearby. When Ling got another spore, someone from another sect suddenly approached her. Another participant arrived and it turned out to be Duan, who was already a member of the Raksha sect. The two men released a spiritual pet, but Jaime immediately defeated it. It turned out that Jaime was still alive, but Ling immediately noticed the change in it. The two men attacked again, but the spiritual pets were brutally eliminated through Jaime's strength and speed. Then Jaime attacked one of the trainers, so they were forced to surrender. Duan mentioned that the sect he joined was strong, so Ling thought that this sect was the one responsible for why Jaime seemed different. Duan wanted Ling join his sect, but she wanted him back to the Ling Xiao Pavilion because she believed that they would be able to rise again with Fengmong's help. Duan got angry and said that Fengmong was just an outsider. No matter how much Ling insisted, she still failed to convince Duan back to the Ling Xiao Pavilion. He even threatened that if he and Fengmong met, he would crash him. Meanwhile, after Qing got a spore, a participant suddenly came up to ask it from him. This person named Nitian said to be the master of the world-shaking super-invincible temple. But Qing immediately put the spore on his bracelet, which made Nitian angry with him. He released his spiritual pet, named Scale, and Emperor Grade. Qing knew that it was a spiritual pet company, so he remembered his dark past. After Liansu found out that someone had released an Emperor Grade, he immediately thought that the others would lose. But according to Tangshu, this would not happen if the trainer's power was not enough to control it. And Tangshu was seemed right because Scale's first attack failed. Chang and his pet took advantage of this opportunity to fight, but they hit the turtle's head, causing it to wake up. When Sheng was about to hit his opponent, Nitian immediately asked for 5 points of Scale's storage energy. Because of this, he only became stronger, but Cheng did not give up immediately. So, in Nitian's annoyance, he asked for an additional 10 points, and Cheng's spiritual pet was defeated. He was about to punch Cheng, but his father immediately stopped him. While Cheng was watching Nitian and his father, he could not help but feel envy. When the two were about to leave, he promised Nitian that he would defeat him someday. On the other hand, Panda was confronted by 3 women, so Yui hesitated to show up because she might not be able to defeat them. She noticed the spores and wondered why they had not put them on their bracelets yet. They tried to fight Panda, but Panda immediately defeated their spiritual pets. Yui showed up to ask for the spores, but the girls begged that they would do anything as long as she would not take the spores from them. They talked and the girls said that a woman named Yanmei had been captured by another sect. And because Yui felt sorry for them, she volunteered to help save Anmay. The girls faced the enemy to serve as a distraction, and then Panda prepared to attack. Panda managed to get the enemy's spiritual pet and eliminate it. However, the enemy had placed a spine-breaking worm on Yanmei's neck. He approached the girls to make them choose whether he would kill Yanmei or let him put spine-breaking worms on them. Because of this, Yanmei remembered an event in her life that she was also being forced to choose. She could not control this emotion, causing her true self to return. She was so strong that the enemy could not hold her back anymore. They successfully saved Yanmei, but after a while, Yui suddenly lost consciousness. When she woke up, she could not believe that she had defeated the enemy because she could not remember anything. She was still wondering who she really was because she could not recall much about her past. Before she left, the women asked her the name of her sect. Then they gave her the spores and said that they were going to withdraw from the competition. And once the competition was over, they also wanted to join the Lingxiao Pavilion. For hours after the competition began, the Beacon Society was at the top of the list with 42 points. While the Lingxiao Pavilion was in 7th place with 16 points. The governor was also informed of what had happened to all members of the Tianyin sect. When the participants collected enough spores, the second phase of the competition officially began. Feng Mong was annoyed with Ro because she was following him. Ro just said that she just wanted to spend some time with Teddy because she had not seen him in a long time. Feng Mong tried to ask Ro's opinion on what kind of person he was in her eyes. For this reason, he learned about his strange illness. He wanted to ask for more details about it, but suddenly Muchuan and his spiritual pets arrived. Just a few moments later, someone also came, which made Muchuan worried. It was Nieshing from the Beacon Society, and because Muchuan knew how strong this person was, he immediately spoke to him to prevent a fight from happening. Muchuan and others were about to leave when the change in the competition rules was suddenly announced. They were allowed to earn more points for the bracelet that they could get from others, causing Nieshing to have a reason to fight them. Muchuan quickly pulled Fengmong away, which surprised his companions. Nieshing also decided to attack Muchuan companions, but they were not trainers, and they did not have spiritual pets. Muchuan also explained this to Fengmong, and hoped that his companions would surrender immediately so that they would not be harmed by the enemy. On the other hand, Liansu did not understand why the competition rules had suddenly changed. But based on Tongchu's understanding, the purpose of the new rules was to prevent participants from killing each other. Just a few minutes after the new rules were announced, many sects were immediately eliminated from the competition. Fengmong decided to go back to his companions as being agreed on. Yui immediately noticed Ro, so Fengmong introduced her. But she introduced herself as Fengmong's girlfriend. While the scores of each sect were being announced, Ling also arrived. The sadness on her face was obvious as she informed the others about her meeting with Duan. When she mentioned what she noticed on Jaime, Fengmong remembered what had happened to his former spiritual pet. He wanted to go to Duan, but he remembered that they should win first place in the competition first. They planned their strategy for the second phase to avoid anyone getting seriously hurt. They targeted the U2 sect with 2 members and 9 points. They used the power of the panda to defeat them. They quickly defeated them and got the 2 bracelets. But they did not realize that there was an enemy behind Ro. These were members of the Baneful Gua sect, which was also the companions of Yui's opponent earlier. In order to save Ro, Ling and Fengmong decided to just give them the bracelets they had gotten. After Fengmong gave them the bracelets, the enemies did not let her go yet to ensure their safety. But Ro had something planned for them, and when they were far away, Fengmong and his companions heard the announcement that the entire Hongluan building had been eliminated from the competition. Fengmong got angry, then it was also announced the elimination of the Baneful Gua sect. He immediately followed Ro and saw that she was safe. It turned out that she used her spiritual pet named Foxy to lure the opponent. After she controlled the enemy, she withdrew from the competition. Then she made the enemy attack her so the entire Baneful Gua sect would be automatically eliminated from the competition. Ro gave the bracelets to Fengmong including hers. This made the Lingxiao Pavilion earned many points. When she left, Fengmong and his companions combined the bracelets they got. As for Mu Chuan, he simply asked for 5 points. Liansun noticed the sudden increase in Ling Xiao Pavilion's points, and when they counted the points again, the sect was now in second place, which made Tanshu happy. Jun Yunzi was holding the bracelet with the most points, and it turned out to be Fengmeng. Examiner Li said that he was so strong, that's why Liansu was excited to meet him. After half an hour, the end of the second phase of the competition was announced. Beckon Society retained first place, and Ling Xiao Pavilion also took second place. Since Duan's sect was in third place, this made him even more excited to beat the Ling Xiao Pavilion. For the third phase of the competition, the island slowly sank, and the sea water got closer to the participants. In order for them to be safe, they had to go at the very top of the island. Fengmeng knew that the participants would be fighting each other, so he sent out their spiritual pets. They immediately encountered the Rakshas Street sect. One of their members attacked Fengmeng, so Fengmeng quickly threw his bracelet to Monkyuan so it would not get wet. When he saw the enemy's spiritual pet, he was happy because Nian could possibly reach the highest phase of the soul-building stage if he swallowed it. They tried to plead with Duan to let Fengmeng go, but Duan just got angry with them. At this point, Ling realized that they really had to fight Duan. While they were busy exchanging attacks, one of the members of the Rakshas sect suddenly approached Yui. Just like hers, his spiritual pet was also a panda. Mu Chuan took the opportunity to escape because he already had Fengmeng's bracelet. But the leader of the Wanghua Gate suddenly faced him to take his bracelet as well. This man had no idea that the spiritual pet of one of the Rakshas sect members was behind him. He only found out about it when his spiritual pet was swallowed, so he joined Mu Chuan and ran away. Before Fengmeng could be swallowed by the octopus, Nian managed to free him. Then Nian fought against the opponent's spiritual pet, and when its limbs became tangled, Nian swallowed it in. When Fengmeng got out of the water, the opponent tried to rush for an attack, so Teddy saved him. He immediately looked for Mu Chuan so he would not be disqualified from the competition. Mu Chuan was very happy thinking that Fengmeng would help them, but he just left them. Fengmeng went to where Yui was because he needed Panda's power to color Nian. Then he immediately went straight to where Ling was. He ordered Qing to help Mu Chuan and he would take care of Duan. When Qing arrived at Mu Chuan's location, he immediately targeted the enemy who was hiding in the tree. The man from Wanghua sect could not hide his fear anymore, so he decided to give up on the competition. But because of the enemy's sudden attack, Qing dropped the bracelet. He and Mu Chuan worked together to fight the enemy until they thought of an attack. They knew that the Tyrannosaurus' weakness was fire, but it turned out that the enemy was hiding a special technique. Because of this, Cheng and Mu Chuan's spiritual pets suddenly trembled in fear. Even though they ordered them to retreat, the spiritual pets could not get back. Just as the Tyrannosaurus was about to attack them, Nitian suddenly arrived to attack the enemy's spiritual pet. Cheng thought that Nitian was helping them, but it turned out that he came for the bracelet. Meanwhile, Yui continued to fight because Panda was having a hard time with the opponent's spiritual pet. She knew that they lacked teamwork with her spiritual pet, that's why they could not have a good strategy. He remembered Fengmeng and Fan's advice to her. Then she had the courage to try to control Panda. Because Panda still remembered what she did to their previous opponent, he was forced to follow her. As their battle continued, Panda's strategies in the fight also improved. With the techniques that Yui asked Panda to use, they were able to single out the opponent. The enemy was surprised why his spiritual pet targeted him. Duan seemed to be hallucinating after seeing Fengmeng's spiritual pet. Fengmeng decided to send Ling away to make sure that she would not get hurt in his fight with Duan. Duan attacked first, but Fengmeng's water bag stopped him. This technique made Duan remember the days when he and Fan had their duels. Almost all of Fengmeng's attacks were also Fan's attacks, so Duan could not help but be surprised. He thought Jaime could do what he did before, but this did not happen. Fengmeng even tried to ask Duan to let Jaime go, but it only made him angrier. For this reason, Fengmeng was forced to put him to sleep. When he regained consciousness, Fengmeng immediately asked him if he had anything to do with what happened to Fan. Duan and Ling were both surprised by Feng Meng's question, and he immediately denied it. Feng Meng explained that what happened to Jaime also happened to Fan's spiritual pet, and both turned into zombies. He asked Duan again, and Duan laughed out loud. He denied Feng Meng's suspicion, but he also explained why Jaime was resurrected. While speculating that there might be a way for Jaime to come back to life, he asked for help from a lot of people. Until he went to the Rakshas sect after someone told him that they had a way to bring dead pets back to life. But he was told to join the Rakshas sect first, and he was forced to do it. Although he did not see the process, he learned from one of the sect members that a magic pill was used on Jaime. He could not say that this was the same as what happened to Fan's spiritual pet because he had never seen a living spiritual pet become a zombie. He accepted that Feng Meng was right, and that he was just blinded by Jaime's death. Feng Meng let him go at this point, and offered Duan to work with him in investigating the Rakshas sect when the competition was over. Suddenly, one of the members of the Beacon Society, named Mitzi, arrived and immediately attacked them. Ling decided to help Feng Meng, so Duan felt that she and the Ling Shao Pavilion no longer needed him. Jaime approached him, and after apologizing to his spiritual pet, he also asked Jaime for a favor to fight together again for the last time. Mitzi managed to knock Nian down, so Ling fought against her. Although Ling defeated her, Mitzi still managed to drag her down. Mitzi released a liquid because she planned to burn Ling alive. Luckily, Jaime arrived and he put out the fire on Ling's clothes. Because Ling was already weak, Duan carried her. They left while Jaime stayed behind, so Ling found out what Duan was planning. They could do nothing but cry while walking away from Jaime. While the leader of the Wongu sect was waiting to be picked up, Nieshing suddenly attacked him. The other members of the Beacon Society were also there, so all the participants gathered together. Feng Meng faced Mitzi, while Qing and Muchuan faced Nieshing. Yui fought Shing, but Shing immediately injured his opponents. Nitian's father knew that Nieshing was strong, so he told Nitian to just leave the place. But Nitian wanted to fight Nieshing because he thought Scale could beat the enemy. But his father made it clear to him that Scale was still far from Nieshing because even though Scale was an emperor grade, he was still in the mature stage. Because of this, he thought that he would just use a forbidden skill. He wanted to help Qing, so his father agreed to his decision. Just as Nieshing was about to save Qing, Scale suddenly attacked him. But Nieshing knew that Scale was in the mature stage, so he easily defeated him. Nitian borrowed 10 points of Scale's storage energy again. It became a forbidden skill because it was like borrowing power and he had to pay it back. Nieshing could not escape because Nitian was already too strong, but the energy he borrowed was quickly depleted. He borrowed 10 points again, but it was not enough, so he borrowed 30 points. Using the immense power he had, he did not let Nieshing to catch up with him. Due to the severity of their injuries, Yui and Panda decided to hide first. But not long after, Xing immediately tracked them down. After Yui saw Panda's condition, she activated the Lord Resonance. Because of this, Panda had great power and Xing could not fight against them. While Feng Meng and Mitzi were still fighting, Feng Meng used the steel ball. And with the help of the vine sprite, Mitzi was not able to avoid his attack. At that time, Ling and Duan had just come out of the forest. Duan gave Feng Meng his bracelet and said that he was leaving the Rakshas sect. After the defeat of the 3 members of the Beacon Society, their leader, called Chief Kwai, was angry with this. He took their spiritual pets to put on his body. He immediately attacked and his target was the turtle. Because of what he did, it only sank further, causing most of the participants to fall into the sea. The governor quickly ordered the examiners to rescue the participants. Many sects were eliminated, so Chief Kwai immediately thought that the Beacon Society had won. But the Ling Shao Pavilion was not yet defeated because Feng Meng managed to avoid getting wet. Before Feng Meng faced Chief Kwai, he used ascending materials so that Nian could reach the concert stage. So when they faced Chief Kwai, Nian transformed into a whale. They didn't waste any more time and started the fight right away. They immediately unleashed intense and fast attacks. Although there was a time when Feng Mong and Nian were hit by the attacks, they managed to defeat Chief Kuai. But the enemy attacked again, and because of his speed, Feng Mong could not avoid it. In this situation, Feng Mong decided to use the Lord Resonance. They exchanged attacks again until Feng Mong called in Vine Sprite and Teddy to help. Feng Mong and Nian teamed up again, and because of their speed, Chief Kuai had a hard time keeping up. But he did not give up right away and exchanged attacks with Feng Mong. Using Teddy and the Steel Ball, Feng Mong successfully defeated Chief Kuai. Due to the strength of that attack, Chief Kuai could not get up. After Liansu and Tangshu saw Feng Mong's score, this made them both rejoice. Feng Mong was about to send Nian back before the examiners saw him, but suddenly, Chief Kuai was attacked by his spiritual pets. They also attacked Nian, and Feng Mong was caught by them. Suddenly, the creature inside Feng Mong's body had been awakened. He thought of using it to fight the enemy, but it suddenly disappeared. Fortunately, Tangshu arrived to save him. Lianshu also came, so he told her to take care of Feng Mong. Suddenly, the one inside Feng Mong's body appeared and talked to him. Fan found out that it was the one who killed the real Feng Mong because the real Feng Mong chose to die rather than be controlled by him. Liansu was surprised after finding out that Feng Mong and Jun Yunzi were the same person. She even tried to stop Feng Mong with her new spiritual pet, but it did not work. Because Tangshu was still busy with the enemy, Feng Mong managed to grab him. In just a few moments, Tangshu was able to defeat the enemy, and he was surprised to see Feng Mong and Liansu. He immediately kicked Feng Mong, and this helped him to get back to his senses. When he was about to go up, he was suddenly pulled by Tangshu's spiritual pet. Tangshu learned that he was the Feng Mong that Liansu was referring to, who also took her catfish. A few minutes later, the name of Lingxiao Pavilion was announced as the winner of the D-class assessment competition. While they were celebrating, Examiner Li approached them because Feng Mong was brought to Bai Mansion because of his crime. When Feng Mong arrived at Bai Mansion, Tangshu told him about the times when he and Fan were playing. Fan was still calm even though many looked down on him, and this was the reason why Tangshu admired him. He asked Feng Mong if he could also do what Fan had done for Lingxiao Pavilion. Suddenly, Feng Mong's complicated past came back to his mind. But because he remembered he was not alone, and he was ready to fulfill the dream of making Lingxiao Pavilion the strongest sect. This is the end of the last episode of the All-devouring Whale Homecoming Season 1. I hope you like it and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss newly upload videos. Thank you for watching.